Crash Course Live is presented by
Smash It Demolition Derbies, who host Bash for Cash, Blizzard Bash, and Capital City Carnage. Online at smashitderby.com. And Stirring Dirt Racing, host of May Mania's team show at the Golden Spike Arena in Ogden, Utah. Online at stirringdirtracing.com.
Reckless Abandon Derby Apparel and Derby Inc. Magazine. This is the Crash Course Demolition Derby podcast, recorded live at the FingerLakes1.com studios in downtown Seneca Falls, New York. And now your host, Chris Marquardt.
Good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to the Crash Course Demolition Derby podcast. This is episode number 221, and we are back, and everybody is bright-eyed, well-rested from the experience of the weekend out at Capital City Carnage. Recapping that episode tonight, we've got Corey Ludington joining us on the hotline. We're going to be talking a little bit with Shay Ford a little bit later on, and then we're also going to be catching up with Chicken. Justin Montgomery going to be joining us as well on tonight's program. A couple quick housekeeping notes real quick. Corey Thompson, again, condolences out to him, Casey Thompson, condolences out to him, his dad passing away in the middle of Capital City Carnage, so we're thinking about him. Sean Verana, his mom broke her hip, and he ended up having to leave early. And also Clay Stewart, the crew from Utah, bugged out when they found out that his mom only had about 24 hours left. And I haven't seen anything specific on that in the wake of Capital City Carnage. But all those people that we're thinking about them as we come off of a very, very busy weekend out there in Topeka. First and foremost, we want to say thanks to Tim and Russ for having us out there. It was awesome to be out there and part of it. And another great weekend working with Candace Joe, dead on with the lineups and all that production stuff that she put together. The Saturday Night Championship round for the Limited Well guys. The introductions were fantastic. It was like nothing else. Cool. And that was outstanding. Working with Chris and Tony with Derby Nation and Pit Row Media. I think that this is one of the strongest outings that we've all had as a group. It was a lot of fun, and then on top of that, the drivers. We had a couple other drivers that we'd talked to through the course of the weekend. Wanted to relay a big thank you for all the congratulations and well wishes from Eric Blom, who won the Limited Weld feature. Big thank you for all the continued support from NLR Derby products and all the encouragement through the course of the weekend to John Muse himself, and congratulations on the run that he had. Kevin Ullman and Scott Mulder, both of them, a lot of folks extending well wishes to those guys after they went 1-2. We're going to talk to Shay Ford in a little bit after he took third. And a lot of compliments going out to Brad Tice and those drivers, all extending their appreciation for those well wishes, because it certainly is deserved.
Absolutely. It was like I mentioned on the show the other night. From the beginning, Capital City Carnage has improved every year. This year was another step in that direction. All the classes were so competitive. I mean, you couldn't pick. You couldn't sit down and pick who was going to qualify out of the heat. And I mean, at one point, we were kind of like, man, the Limited Well, this is up for grabs. Same thing with the modified. I mean, all of a sudden, none of the cars could steer. It was crazy. I mean, it was every heat out there was an excellent heat. The compacts, man, them Cadillac compacts are just they are crazy. They
compact Cadillacs.
Just top to bottom. I mean, more cars this year. Inspection went off pretty much without a hitch. Mm-hmm. Just great things coming. There was kind of an issue in one of the there was an issue in one of the Limited Weld heats, and that was corrected. And Dawson Harrington was put into the feature. Overall, I've heard very little negative about this show. I know some people were a little concerned. We saw some things here and there about, the change of promoters. But, again, I getting to know Tim and Russ as we have, making the drivers happy is their number one thing to do with the Derby. And, like I said, I see big things coming, and I think the driver's going to be very happy. Overall, just a great weekend. A lot of people. I mean, I think we were probably 3/4 full Saturday night. It was there was quite a bit of quite a few people there, which is good since it was St. Paddy's Day, and a lot of people are out celebrating.
They had the parade in downtown Topeka, and after that, everybody seemed to come over to the Expo Center.
Mm-hmm.
They were offered a treat when Corey Ludington came away with the win in the modified class. That one was one that was a nail biter for sure. Corey ended up having to be MacGyver inside the cockpit. Tell us a little bit about what happened on your way to that win in the modified feature Saturday during the mid-morning session at Capital City Carnage, Corey.
Oh, just pulled out on the track there and was going to run with Tommy Stark and Eddie Chick, and unfortunately Eddie's car wouldn't start, and the green flag dropped, and just kind of driving around trying to feel things out and making some hits, and wound up getting down on steering, and I lost the lower control arm on the rear end there, and just trying to do my best to maneuver around, making hits, and somebody got my radiator and got hot there, and there at the end, she died, and I was trying to crank it up there, and it wouldn't fire, and I just thought, heck, man, I need to figure out some way to get this thing to start, so I shut the fuel gate, or the fuel valve off, and put it to the floor and cranked her up and turned the fuel valve back on, and I made a hit there with Brad Tice at the end, and hit him a couple more times, and went on around there and was trying to turn around to try and see where old Tory Hyde was at, and just make sure that he was out. And I looked up at section 117, and they were all standing on their feet and their arms in the air, yelling and hollering. I thought, man, I think I just won this thing. And never really had it. I thought I was going to win the mod class, and went out there. Of course, I signed up for the light weld, but with some issues with the way the car was built, and the tech standing the ground and doing their job correctly wouldn't quite agree with me on letting me fix it the way I wanted to, so I just went ahead and bumped up to the mod class. We worked all day Friday, adding repair plates and hump plates and stuff, and I think about 3:55 I went to the tech line, and still had to go cut some stuff on it, but it all worked out for the best.
Now, when your motor fired up with not much time left on the hit clock, that probably had to be the most happy you've ever been to have a motor start. I mean, because you were close, and you fired up and made a real nice shot, and then it was only a few seconds after that you got the win. But I mean, that had to be the most happy you've ever been to have a Derby motor start in a Derby.
I tell you, I knew that I was getting close and whatnot, and I was worried about it there, but when it started, I knew I couldn't back up. I knew I didn't have steering, so I knew I had to go forward, so I could hopefully somebody that was still an active car would be in the way. And unfortunately for Brad, he was there, and I just took the shot, and he kind of gave me a thumbs up, and I didn't even know where Tory was. I didn't know he was back there and was stuck or whatever, and I still don't know what was going on with him. But yeah, I was really happy. That was the first run on that motor. Actually, I put it together. I really didn't know nothing about it. It's an LS 6.0, and I never even tuned the carburetor or put a custom tune in the MSD box. It was just the timing curves that come with it. And I was pretty satisfied with the way it ran. It always started, so really can't complain about it.
It was definitely ran good.
Yeah, it ran just fine. So when the car's disabled like that, and you're sitting there trying to get the thing to refire, for you as a driver, does time speed up or does it slow down?
In the past, it's always seemed like it's been real fast, but out there Saturday morning, it seemed like it was slow. Mm-hmm. I don't know. It's just a different atmosphere out there in Topeka. It doesn't matter if you're out there for Blizzard Bash or Capital Carnage. It's always something different. It's something you can't really explain. Everybody that's ever been on the track knows what I'm talking about. But I asked Austin after it was over with where I was at on my time, and he said whenever it's fired up, I was at 54 seconds. So I was real close to being timed out.
Wow,
that's very close.
Yeah, well, that was the thing. Is you guys were kind of all there in the end, trying to spin around and hit each other, and then you had stalled, and I was watching the other guys. I'm going, man, and then just as I was starting, I think I was getting ready to say that you had to be close on time. You fired up and drove forward and hit Brad, and I was like, he's got his time back now. So, yep. I figured he had to be somewhere close. But yeah, that was great, man. That was an overall great show or great heat. These guys really got after it, and there was definitely some hard hitting going on out there.
You had to be resourceful too to get the car to refire. You said that you shut the fuel off, cranked the motor while standing on the throttle, and then shut the fuel back on without stopping the cranking process, and it got it to fire.
Yeah, actually, my fuel pump and my ignition switch is all hooked on the same switch in there in that car, and which my valve on the fuel tank is right there in reach. So obviously, I couldn't shut the fuel pump off without shutting the ignition off. So I thought, man, I got to figure out some way to get the fuel stopped, and I just shut the valve off, and when it fired up, I turned it back on and grabbed first gear, and I was taking what I could get.
Absolutely.
I mean, the patience or the wherewithal to pull that move off when you know that it's that size of a stage, when you know that it's that much money waiting for you on the backside. I don't think that it'd be fair to say that this was the easiest $2,500 you've ever won.
I wouldn't say it's that's the biggest check I've ever gotten in a derby. It actually is my second first place finish. 2 years ago, I think I won a local show here, which would probably be my localist show, which was Macon, Missouri. With my very first Capital Carnage car, I won Macon with that. That was a $1,200 win. But no, this is definitely the biggest accomplishment I've made in the demo derby. But with that being said, it may have been the mod class, but to me, it's just as big as the light weld class, because you're out there with the best of the best. I mean, there's Chad Markley, Brad Tice, I can't even, Daniel Lord, I think. Just all these guys that run the national team show, Blizzard Bash, that, a lot of those cars was out there for Blizzard Bash, and they build hard cars, and those guys drive hard, and I mean, I really haven't been in a mod car, in 2 years, I'm sorry. I really was kind of nervous about going out there and stuff, but after when the green flag drops and that first hit's done, you forget all about that stuff, and you just go out there and have fun. And like you guys said, there was a lot of good hard hits, and it was a good heat. And I've heard a lot of people compliment about it, and even other drivers come up and say, "Man, that's one of the hardest heats I've been in a long time." And they really enjoyed it.
A couple thoughts right away off that. First, a mod heat is not the same as the 5-foot class that we've seen in other trips to Topeka. These cars were bending, and it took a lot of violence to bend those cars. And
that was just, I was not to interrupt you, sorry, but before I lose my thought, because I'll lose my mind. But friends of ours, Dan and his wife and Mike and Desi all came out and watched. And I asked them, I said, "What did you guys think of the mod cars?" And they loved them. And I said, "What's really cool about those cars?" As I said, as heavy as they're bent, and a lot of them are as heavy as they're built, and a lot of them had been bent, because they were before. I said, you don't think it's going to bend anymore. And then they start hitting each other at 40, and the thick steel starts bending. I mean, it's, and that's what I said. I've never been on the floor there to watch a modified heat. Right. Russ came up, and I went and watched some of the limited weld heats. But I was standing down on the floor, and those limited weld guys were getting after it. And I said, I might be told to stand down here and watch the modified heats anymore, because I don't think I could get out of the way if I come up over that wall. But I mean, the hitting that goes on in that class is just absolutely amazing. There's nothing like it that we go to year in and year out. I mean, there's never. It's amazing. For perspective, Brian lost 2 fillings watching on the sidelines. So imagine what the drivers went through. You know what I mean? You ain't kidding.
But on the flip side of all that, these guys, some of them, if they don't run the mod class at Capital City Carnage, can then use that car and run their county fairs all year long.
Yeah.
So I mean, just to show what those cars go through, and Corey, it surprised me. We were talking over by Jason Brzezinski's trailer, and you said that this was your second win. I mean, I came into Capital City Carnage seeing you on the entry list, thinking that you're a guy who's trying to get the bad luck off his back just in Topeka, for the number of times that we've seen you have decent runs or really, really good runs started and bad luck knocked you out, or you got caught awkward, or one time I remember seeing you get stuck in the dirt and there was just no getting you out because of the amount of clay that had fallen down just sort of trapped the car.
I remember that one.
I was shocked that when you said that this was your second win only, because I'm thinking you're owed 2 or 3 wins in Topeka alone.
Oh, I don't know about that. I mean, you got to earn everything out there in Topeka.
Well, true.
I've started. I think I run the old iron mod class at Blizzard Bash 3 years, and then that's when they switched over to where it was a light weld team, or it was all going to be a team show, and that's never we all joined or wanted to run the light weld teams. And the first year they had the light weld teams, I really didn't do a whole lot out there, but I had a couple guys on my team that drove their butts off and got us into fourth place, finished the first year. And then, of course, last year we went out there, and I had a couple new teammates, and we all had a pretty good showing out there last year at Blizzard Bash, and wound up getting third. But those are the best, other than this weekend, is the best I've done in Topeka. So it's been coming. It's just takes time to put it all together.
Is this like Daytona 500s? Once you win the first one, the rest of them are easy?
That's what I keep being told. But like I said, after I won Macon over there, I've gotten second, third, and fourth, and I've had good runs. Just I don't know. It just seems like it always something happens.
We talked a little bit about how the time was off, and you had to get the fuel shut off, which was, it was a heads up move because you knew you were out of time, and you got the hit on Brad Tyson, got the thumbs up from him, and everything along those lines. But at the same time, this is still a huge win. You know, when you finally saw the red lights come on and 117 was cheering for you, what were some of your immediate emotions after that, besides the relief that you could finally catch your breath and the heat was over?
Well, I mean, I went up. When it did start, I hit Brad there, and I backed up, and I really he rocked up on his right side, and I really thought I could really kind of roll him over. So I thought, man, I'm gonna try it. So I backed up, but I didn't want to back up far enough that if I could get and close enough to Torrey that he could get a hit and get
right
back off the clock, that it would kind of mess me up. So I did, and plus with it being a little hot, I didn't have the power I should needed. So I just didn't get what I wanted to do done, and then I hit him a couple more times, and I actually went over there whenever I was going to try and turn around, and my car died again, which I knew I had the last hit. So I just kind of sat there and actually started taking my seatbelt off and looking around, and there's no better feeling than looking up at your friends and your family and the crowd, and Section 117 is a bunch of great people. I mean, they can be wild, but they know how to have a good time, and they do anything for anybody out there, and that's a real good feeling to look up there and see your wife and all your friends and family with their arms in the air, just yelling and just happy as can be. I was really happy, really excited as anybody seen the video or was there and watched it. I was happy. I really don't know. I was kind of ecstatic, I guess.
Absolutely.
Has it sunk in yet?
Yes, a little bit. No, yeah. I mean, I get home and go run around town, and everybody, a lot of people, friends on Facebook, seen it and stuff like that. And we're not a real big, where I live is not a big derby deal, so people don't really follow it a lot. But my friends kind of follow me, but it's not like they don't go to demolition derbies 3 or 4 times a year. Right. There is some people that there's a local family there in Brookfield that actually they come out to Blizzard Bash and watch, and they come out to Carnage and watched also, and they come to watch. I wouldn't say entirely just for me, but I'm the only. There's a couple other people I guess they probably do know, but they know me really close and really well, so they come to watch me and other people, of course. But so I mean, it's not like it's a big following around here, so.
Well, it seems like now would be as good a time as any to take that car and park it downtown, right at the local diner. You could educate them a little.
Absolutely.
Well, you bring that up, but our school district, they have a deal that's called Things That Go.
Uh-huh.
And pretty much everybody around brings in the construction equipment, farm equipment, and of course we're in the trucking industry, so we have semis, and they usually call us and we take a truck and trailer up there, and then 2 years ago, I think it was, they called and said, "Hey, you want to bring a derby over or not?" So I've taken 3 derby cars over there and and let the kids crawl over them and stuff, and it's just, and it's kind of nice to see the looks on their faces and even the parents and stuff like that, because it's been 2 mod cars, and then last year I took a stock. A new style over there that was built to stock wheels. So there are people that see it, but they they still don't understand everything that's going on with it.
Yeah. The kids love it regardless. Especially if you dead it up. I'm sure the kids love it even more.
Right.
That's cool.
For sure, man. Congratulations on the win. It was fantastic. It was a great feature. It was a great finish with you and watching Tori Hyde going down to third place, Brad Tice second, and you coming away with the win. Is there anybody that you wanted to make mention of? I know we talked a lot about 117. Anybody that helped out in getting the car together and making sure that you got out there for Capital City Carnage this year?
I mean, everybody always thinks their wife and their kids, and those are the number one people to think. But all of us Derby guys, we can't do it without some help in the shop and at the track and whatnot. But Justin Singer, he does a lot of welding and working on my truck, on my cars here. He works till about 3:15 every day, and then he'll stop by the shop and he'll put in 3 or 4 hours at the shops if I want to work on them or whatever, and don't ever complain, don't ever say nothing. Then Friday, I worked all day on my car out there Friday, and Teddy Papadopoulos, he stuck in and helped me out. And I mean, there's just numerous guys, but Teddy and Rob and Trey, I can't name everybody. It's just that group of people that I run around with, you just can't beat them, and they're dang good people, and they'll throw a hand at you anytime you need it. Then there's Kenneth Duff. He runs compacts. He didn't have very good luck out there, but he does a lot too for me.
Yep, I remember hearing Ken Duff's name in the compact feature. Yep, for sure. I recognize that name. Teddy's a good dude too. Everybody that you just
Teddy,
mentioned,
the Hoyers, they're all good people.
Trey said he wanted to give a big thanks to his mom and his dad for all the continued support and the opportunities. I mean, he's got a bright future ahead of him in Demolition Derby, coming away with a tie for second with Justin Montgomery behind Eric Blom in the limited weld feature. It was a ton of fun to watch him. He's now, I think, in his last something like this, his last 4 starts, he's got a win in 3/3 or 4/3 or something. It's
crazy,
pretty crazy.
Yeah, he's doing all right for himself.
Yeah, he's doing okay, and he's got a great group around him.
Kid.
Say that again.
Trey's a real good kid, and he's not scared to get in and work on his cars either.
No.
That's the thing I like about 117 when you see him out in the pits. Section 117 is that whole group is nobody ever gets too low. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Everybody shares in everybody else's success. So that whole, even with bad luck ahead or behind them, depending on how things went, they were all on their feet when Corey came away with the win, and they were all on their feet when Trey was getting third place, and they were all there to help band-aid the car together when Junior needed help getting through the consies. They worked together well.
Absolutely.
Well, Corey, man, I appreciate you again coming on, and congratulations. What's the rest of the summer look like? Where do you go from here?
Well, I'm gonna. Obviously, this car's not completely junk, so I'm gonna put the steering back on it and fix the control arm and try and run a couple more mod shows with it. I've been kind of thinking about the Frostbuster, but I think that's just way too far of a drive for me to go up there and break something silly or who knows what. So I may try and hold that on running it. It's something that's a little more local. I've got some stock shows that I'm looking to try and run this summer. And then there's a powder puff that my wife and Teddy's wife and Rob's wife, Kelly and Kyla, I think Shayna, much of the girls the wives that we run around with, that don't sound right, but anyway. all our friends are pretty well going to run this powder fest, and that's usually a pretty good time. So I'll be concentrating on that come June, July.
Cool.
There's a lot of stuff goes on in summertime. So I don't know. It's just going to be one of them things. Just kind of see what happens.
That's awesome. Well, I wish you the best, and we'll probably catch up with you again. If not before, we'll see you at Blizzard Bash.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate the opportunity to come on and chat with you guys, and appreciate what you guys are doing with the Derby world.
Thanks a lot, man. It's always good to have you. Stay in touch over the summer.
All right, buddy. I appreciate it.
Thanks a lot.
Run, man.
See y'all later.
There goes the one and only Corey Ludington winning the Mod Class.
I saw him Saturday evening. He was out back with Eddie, and shook his hand, congratulated him. He was still pretty excited, man, which I can't blame him. I mean, that's a big win. It's just drive into that building and then drive back out carrying a big trophy, a big check.
Whoops!
It doesn't get much bigger than that.
Hung out to dry there. Sorry. we need those boxes that we had, the cough boxes.
That's all right. I'm still trying to get caught up from whatever night it was we didn't sleep.
Teddy just sent in a question. I just saw it. I missed it. He was if Corey's afraid of the Frostbuster. So we just talk about how great they are and they stick together. They also break balls.
Absolutely.
Sorry, Teddy. I missed that. My bad. Okay, so we got to change gears quickly here. Turn our attention to that's actually exactly what we're going to do, and we didn't need to do it that way. Let's do that, and that. That'll get us there.
Sure.
Yeah, right there. See?
There you go.
Stern Dirt Racing is coming up quick. That's going to be our next big stop out there in Salt Lake City. Two-man team show, May Mania, May 18th and 19th in Salt Lake City at that Spirit 47 Arena. Beautiful new complex that they just built. It's a rodeo arena that's actually expandable. They can roll out one wall to make it wider. They have the juniors.
Just because they don't have enough room.
Because if they want to run 6 bulls at a time instead of 5, I mean, I don't know. It's amazing. The place is huge. It's a gigantic facility, and they're going to make use of that at the May Mania. And then after that, the Wasatch Wipeout is on deck July 27th and 28th in Heber City, Utah. $90,000 in prize money being paid out. Winner takes $25,000. Clay Stewart won that one last year. Fifth through last takes $1,000 just for getting on the track for the feature. $5,000 Mad Dog Award. Farm trucks, front wheel drives, and passengers are doing a $4,500 payout for each class. They've talked about a couple different ways that they're going to do it. So everybody that enters is going to get at least X amount, and then they're going to decide to split it, plus a Mad Dog. And Johnny Gullo, we're going to have him on again next week to recap a little bit of that going forward. And not to forget that before we get to Utah, we got Chaos in the Valley coming up. They've got their spring show April the 21st at the Shenandoah County Fairgrounds in Woodstock, Virginia. Showtime is 5 o'clock. Weld stock and compact classes paying $2,000 each. This is the group that last year they had advertised $5,000 to win for the compacts, and they had enough entries and support that they were able to boost it up to $8,000 the night of the show, which was phenomenal. That happened at the Chaos in the Valley Fall Show. This year that date is going to fall October the 20th, and it's going to be at the same location, Shenandoah County Fairgrounds, Woodstock, Virginia. Again, showtime in the fall is 5 o'clock. Monster builds, monster payouts. You can't go wrong. All to benefit Tom's Brook Volunteer Fire Department. Online for additional details, facebook.com/Chaos Valley. Again, facebook.com/Chaos Valley. And to round out our May schedule, everybody knows about this. I don't know. We can give them details, or they can read it, or they can just turn on Facebook anytime they want to. They're going to find it takes roughly 2 clicks from whatever you're looking at in front of you to get to Bash for Cash. Bash for Cash 2018, Ross County Fairgrounds in Chillicothe, Ohio. We're going to get out there to see Tim and Russ Clark again. They were the ones that oversaw Capital City Carnage. Fatty taught me a lot of things this weekend. I learned a lot, and it was good to see.
We can't talk about anything on
it. It was good to see him. It was good to see him. And it was kind of like being in college again. Just learned so much stuff. There's just a wealth of information being shared. He threatens that he watches every week. We'll find out if he did or didn't. Near at Big Rock class at the Bash for Cash, paying $11,000. It's a kicker class, open to new and old iron, but no Imperials. Old iron bonus, $3,000 additional dollars being kicked into that if it's won by an old iron, or $1,500 to the highest placing if it's won by a metric car. Metric car will take $11,000, and somebody else is getting a $1,500 bonus just because they chose to bring an old iron. The DerbyTees.com Turn Back the Clock class is going to be the reverse of that. It's going to be the giant payout with an extra bonus out there for a metric. The Imperials are being allowed there, the subframe Imperials 67 and up, which is really cool to see them added to it. And then it's $1,500 being given to the highest placing metric if it's won by an old iron. And traditionally, old irons win that class and metrics win the other one. But hey,
we know somebody builds a pretty tough metric Cadillac.
And we've seen them, and there's always a threat. So we'll see what happens. And then on top of that, so it's 10,000 win DC Otters, compact class, Frank the Tank Old School, wire class, full size trucks, youth compacts, and the compact trucks still have a couple openings left. It's only $75 to enter. 80s wire class, all the groups of them are full, as well as the street stock class. Online, SmashItDerby.com. We'll jump through the rest of our ads here in just a few minutes. But first, before we do that, we are going to get Shay Ford on the line to talk a little bit about his run in Capital City Carnage.
I'm going to ask you before I forget.
Yeah.
On the Chaos in the Valley, I see one of their classes is called a stock class. What is stock in Chaos in the Valley? Like, I mean, is it like a heavy weld car? Is it like a pro mod? I mean, because they don't know what stock means at Chaos in the Valley. So I'm just wondering what their stock class represents. Could you explain that?
Yeah, it's full weld.
All right, just making sure.
Their stock class is similar to. I think it's fair to say it's similar to what they've got in terms of the limited weld classes and stuff like that we see in Pennsylvania, like the super stocks and stuff like that. It's not the hulking monsters that you're used to. Shay, let me pitch you in real quick. It's probably not what you're envisioning. Their mod class or their weld class is probably a little bit heavier than what you might see anywhere. It's approaching Blizzard Bash cars. The way that it was a couple years ago. It's pretty serious, but it's still fun. And they bend. The cars there, they do eventually. They do
10 or
eventually
12,000 pounds hitting each other.
Yeah, I mean, if you run a dump truck into another dump truck, something happens. It always does. It's laws of physics, I think. Even though the young lady sitting behind us in the airport in Kansas City on the way home felt that science was magic, which conversation for another time. You were sleeping.
I must have slept through that.
You were sleeping at that point. There's a lot of people staring at you, by the way. Shay Ford joining us on the hotline to talk a little bit about his run at Bash for Cash. Your team.
Nope. Excuse me.
Capital City Carnage. Your team, Compact Cadillacs, has had a stranglehold on the compact division out there for quite some time now. Scott Mulder coming away with the win. Kevin Ullman coming up with second place. And I think those two together decided that you were getting third place. I don't know. Give me some thoughts on your experience out there at Capital City Carnage and being surrounded by such a great team.
Yeah, I mean, those guys, they're kind of the lead of the team there. And I just kind of go with the flow and follow those guys. But, yeah, they put me on the wall in a hurry. That was for sure.
Shay, were you surprised by how tough that Camaro was, or did you kind of expect that?
I know that. I mean, Jared and Nate, they built some great stuff, and I had a pretty good idea that thing was that hard. I believe I stayed away from him as much as I could. So.
Yeah. Well, I noticed at the end, you guys. I mean, you really tore up the back end of it, but the front still stayed relatively straight. I was pretty impressed with it.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, Jared's a great guy. I mean, I've talked to him a little bit since Blizzard Bash. I mean, we really did not like our draw at Blizzard Bash this year. I mean, it was better than no heat like the year before, but like I said, we know those guys very well, and I've seen some of their builds, and I mean, we know they're no slouch coming in. So
sure. And there's a couple of the A2S cars that ended up winning it. A couple of those cars were back out there. Loman and Jared Lamke. He's not a guy that you can overlook either.
No.
The compact
he
draw.
He had car trouble, or he had trouble coming in. Remember when we knew it was going to start?
Yeah.
And then once he got that thing started, he never took his foot off the floor again. He was driving. It was impressive.
Yeah, like I said, John and those guys are great guys. Also, I mean, they're bringing top-notch stuff, and it was nice to see Juan Velasquez out there too, running that new Baldwin. And I mean, those things they sound really nice. So,
just to bounce back for a second, Corey Ludington says he's not nearly as scared as Teddy Papadopoulos is, but he's more afraid of his wife's reaction to him running it than anything else on the table. So I got a kick out of that.
Nice.
In terms of the draw for Capital City Carnage, we were talking about the quality of cars and the issues that Jared had. Once he got up and running, he was full force. I'm always fascinated, and we hit on this a little bit during the show, the fact that you look at cars that are so substantially different between, let's say, a Camaro that came from the factory with a couple different motor options, but inherently they're known for their V8 performance, and it's a rear-wheel drive, and it's leaf sprung, and it's got a subframe in the front of it. You put that side by side with the Lumina, they don't even belong in the same category, but the Lumina is they're equivalent, if not superior in some cases, in terms of mobility, their ability to gain speed, and being front wheel drive. Without giving away too many secrets, how do you guys make the Lumina so tough? Because you guys have multiple runs on these cars, and they're constantly finishing in the top spots. You guys are shoe-in for podiums every time you go to Topeka.
Well, I don't know about a shoe-in, especially in my case anyway. But yeah, Scott and Kevin, they've had really good luck. But I mean, I think after our run this weekend, all three of our cars are going to be cut up and going to the scrap yard. I think they were a little. We didn't get as much out of them as we would like to. I mean, we had to take all of our plates off on our bends, and I think that really affected a lot of it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, those. I mean, you get a rear-wheel drive like that, and you get if you get a good gear set up and get all that working. But I mean, the Lumina, like you guys talked about, I mean, all your weight's right there on your drive tires, and I mean, it's pretty easy that you spin it around and point it where you want to go, and it's a straight shot. You really got to wheel those rear-wheel drives around a little bit more. So
Sure.
I'll tell you what, I'm very impressed with what the compact guys have been doing with their motors. I mean, those guys pulled out on the track and they started getting after it, and they sounded. I mean, there was some very well put together motors out there. I mean, these guys, my hat's off to them. They very impressive. I mean, like I heard a guy, as they were lining them up, getting on it, and I looked because I'd never heard a 3.1 or whatever it happened to have sound like that. I mean, you guys have definitely really stepped up. A lot of them have really stepped up the motor programs. I mean, there's some awesome running cars out there nowadays.
Yeah, I've got a guy that's putting my motor together now, Shane DeGeeter from Gator Enterprise, and he's done a phenomenal job for me. I mean, I haven't done anything crazy with mine. It's just kind of a stock build, and I like a more reliable motor rather than something that's more powerful. Mm-hmm. But it's amazing what you can do to these motors now, and the ability to take them out from one car to the other rather than trying to find the running driving one, swapping all that out. So,
what's a good shell cost out there? You're in Iowa. What's a good Lumina go for?
Well, it just depends. I mean, if you're looking for a clean one, I just the weekend before Carnage, I actually drove another 45 minutes south of Macon, Missouri, to even find one. But you can find one, a decently clean one, for around $350. So, and that's a complete car, drive on the trailer. I mean, so you got a little bit in it, but nothing terrible.
No.
Break the bank like what these old iron guys are having to pay for just a shell.
Sure. Friend to friend, there's actually, I'll mute the mics even if you want me to, but do you feel perhaps like Kevin and Scott are holding out on you, not sharing as much information as they should?
No, I mean, like I said, I just feel privileged to even be able to be on the track with them, let alone be on the team. And I feel like they give me pretty sufficient information on what I need. I mean, we're coming out there to represent, Iowa, and coming out there and showing how us guys in the Midwest like to drive. And I mean, I think over these past few years since we've been running out there, I think the guys coming out from Ohio this year to Blizzard Bash, and some of the other guys coming down from Minnesota and stuff, it's I think they've kind of learned a few things, and you get on the track with some of the guys that run like we do, and you kind of pick it up, and it's more up tempo.
Oh yeah,
sure. Out here, you're looking about $500 for a clean Lumina. Jason Sherman is watching along and feeding us some stuff. We got to revisit his spot here shortly, but we'll get there. But yeah, about $500 for a clean, running, ready to go Lumina around
everything's
here.
More expensive in New York.
It's because of the taxes, I guess, huh? Title fees.
Crazy.
But sure enough, have you ever driven a rear-wheel drive?
I have not. I have not driven a rear-wheel drive compact. Maybe way back like 15 years ago, the guys that are, some of the GCM guys from around home had me in a big car, Mopar, set up. I ran a couple of those when I was younger, and they ran and drove back then, and they put me on the track with them, and I just, my funds weren't there for a while, so I kind of switched over to compact, and I've had good luck with it, and so I just kind of stick with it.
Now, if you buy yourself a pristine cherry Lumina, and you build it the way you want and drive it the way you want, how many derbies on average would you say you could get out of one?
Well, it depends on if I'm building for Smash It rules, or if I can build back home to lunatic promotion rules. I mean, I can I think I may still have one of those cars still sitting back in the weeds from 4 or 5 years ago. So
Nice.
Well,
Wow, that's crazy.
I'm just
Now,
thinking.
sorry, Chris. How many runs do you think you could get out of a car that you build to smash it rules?
Oh, if we were allowed to keep our plates on, I think I could, I'm probably talking 3, 4, 5 shows. So
That's cool.
Pretty good odds.
That's cool.
Well, I think Scott did that a couple years ago, right? If I remember when he was on leading up to Capital City Carnage, he took his one car from, I think, Blizzard Bash and ran most of the summer with it, if I remember that correctly.
yeah, yep. Like I said, it's all in where you put your plates, and there's some engineering and thinking behind that, and it's if you're able to fix your bends and do that, then it's kind of nice.
I'm just kind of thinking of over your career, in addition to being that much cooler, knowing about the Mopar, if you got Scott and Kevin in an RC Derby, would you be able to return the favor in terms of that whole put them on the wall thing?
I think I'd probably have better odds at that than what I have on the contractor right now. But I was just kind of happy to stay away from the wall. It seemed like Blizzard Bash. I was up there quite a bit, so I was hoping to stay away from it. Was my whole goal for Capital City Carnage, and well, you seen where I ended up. So
yeah. But that being said, we're joking about it because those guys are your buddies. I'm sure it would be a completely different story if it was somebody that you had to contend for the win with, alternately from those guys. But when you talk about the wall and how hard that wall is, we've talked about the old iron being so much heavier with the different cages, etc. You get them against the wall, and all the same, you're carrying more mass with a heavier car into the car that's pinned against it. You see how the doors get opened up, and you can see the tires getting laid over, and the axles getting bent in some of the more stock divisions along those lines. You guys are significantly lighter, but at the same time, it's still a lighter car that's getting pinned against the wall. How much damage is that wall doing when it's got the sheer face and it's hard packed the way that it is in our recent trips to Topeka? And what's that doing to the car? How much damage can you take if you get caught against it, even though the cars are lighter?
If you're the one given the shot, I mean, it's just like hitting almost like a brick wall. I mean, it is packed hard. I mean, it's no different. But yeah, if you're pinned up against it, it's usually bad news.
Well, we saw Nate Midden
breaking an axle or some steering, a tie rod, something along those lines.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's parallel, in terms of that stuff. We saw Nate Biddendorf in the Camaro get up against the wall, and once he was there, he never got off it again. Yeah. And his car got opened up pretty bad. So, I mean, I was wondering that, even though they're lighter, they're still lighter, and both cars are lighter.
The thing is, though, is they're moving so much faster. I mean, those compact cars fly. I mean, they pick up speed quick, and they drive in deep when they drive. I mean, it's impressive. I mean, I've commented on that a number of times. I mean, like everything else, the compacts are just such a good show when we get to Topeka because they do drive so hard, and those cars are, they're tough. But I mean, they may not weigh as much, they may not build as heavy, but they drive as hard, and they go, if not as fast, faster, and they get there quicker. Right. So I mean, you can take a hard shot, from a quarter of an arena as opposed to the full arena shot. But I can definitely see where you have some issues out there. We
asked Corey if it felt if time slowed down or if it felt like it went faster when you're in the shot clock. But for the compact guys, you've got percentagely you've got more real estate because the cars are smaller. Does it feel faster when you're out there versus running at home or running outdoors or anything like that when you're under that setting with that many eyes and that atmosphere?
Yeah, I mean, Topeka's track's probably one of the biggest tracks that I've been on.
Yeah.
Personally, well, up until for now anyway. I mean, I got some shows coming up that I think they have bigger tracks from what I've saw, but yeah, I mean, like I said, with those Luminas with all the weight right there on your drive tires, you spin it around, and like you said, you only need quarter a track or so to get full speed, and you're moving.
Now, Shay, were you sore the day after that show, or no?
I wasn't too bad. I don't think I seen one of the shots coming. I don't remember who gave it to me. I might have hit my elbow a little bit, but other than that, I'm not too bad.
That's the thing, man. That's the one bad thing about with the compacts is the speed comes so quick. It's hard, to keep your head on a swivel because there's just so much action going all over because those cars are so quick that I do see a lot of guys get caught, not looking, and man, that's when it's painful.
I don't seem to remember a lot of flat front tires in the compacts.
No.
Versus seeing the number of flat rear tires on the drive tires of the big cars. What do you guys do in terms of tire selection? Because if you pick something that's too hard and you take a shot on it, it's going to knock out drive. But if you pick something too soft, you're going to be tooling around on two flat tires in a hurry. And the surface is so hard that you could go with something that's all weather and still get plenty of grip. What goes into the thought process on the Luminas anyway, in terms of making sure that you don't put something so heavy where you've got so much rotating mass that you're just going to knock the drive out of it or knock the steering out of it?
Yeah, I've ran street tires or a more all-terrain tire on these harder pack tracks like Topeka's track, or I've ran the 23-inch skid loader tires, and either one really works. I've stuck with 23-inch skid loader tires on the front, and I've had really good luck with those. And yeah, like you said, you don't want a bunch of weight up there on your axles, so.
Interesting, because you'd almost think that with the stiff sidewall of those, that you're sacrificing some give and some flex when you have the grip.
I think some of what helps too is that inherently the front of the compacts, they all kind of go up. So I think that they kind of go over the top of the front tires, and you're caving in sheet metal more than than a direct hit on the tire, possibly. I think that can help too, as opposed to from flat tires and such.
Sure.
And that's more so why I use the skid loader tire. There's basically no sidewall to them. So yeah, you are. The way bumper heights are set now, you're usually over top of them. So
interesting. A couple of years ago, where were the compacts? A couple of years ago around here. Mm-hmm. Even thinking back to like 2013 when we saw some compacts out in Blizzard Bash, it seems like the division has just come leaps and bounds. Amazing. And it's so much fun to see because everybody was ready to write the epitaph of Demolition Derby back in 2000, that time frame between say like 2007, 2008 up until 2013, 2014. But the compact class has just exploded. There's multiple shows that are paying gigantic purses, $10,000 a win. At Bash for Cash, there's a $4,000 a win show here in New York, and it's a really moderate build. It's not even anything crazy or out of control. So then you see the influx of we always talk about. We don't know what the next big derby car is going to be. The Camry had its moment in the sun. The Accord wagons out here, people were really swearing by those for a while, and the Avalon and the popularity of that. And now the Mustangs and stuff. Drag racing guys are losing sleep over it because the Mustangs that they want to go drag race with are being torn up in derbies. I just think it's a fascinating dynamic.
And Luminas were on the top for a while and then went back down, and it seems like they're kind of gaining popularity again. Mm-hmm. There's definitely always a kind of like a go-to. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's kind of like that girl you knew in school that you thought.
Okay, so
trying to keep up with a comment from last week.
Don't try. How many cars do you guys have now? You said you had to drive all the way down to Missouri to find a Lumina.
Yeah, I'm only sitting on one car besides my Carnage car right now, so I've kind of depleted my fleet for right now. But some of the other guys from around home, we've still got quite a few to pick from.
Yeah.
So it just kind of depends on the rules and what you're allowed to rush repair and all that, because a lot of them around here, they're trailing arms, and the vital areas are pretty rusted out. So it's usually all what the rules allow. So.
Well, that's not the first time we've heard that story either.
No.
It all depends on what the rules allow. Mm-hmm. I prefer a car that doesn't have any floors in it, so that way I can plate the floors. It depends on what the rules allow.
Yeah, stranger things have happened. Shay, when you build the Lumina, do you really take into consideration the back end, or do you just kind of expect it to be in your back seat by the end of the night and just worry about the front end?
Oh, I like to take a little bit of consideration in there. You still have to drag it around. You guys have seen numerous people drive them. 9 times out of 10, somebody getting in a Lumina is not going to drive backwards. So,
yeah.
yeah, you're just really wanting to just keep your wheels on and keep them moving. But yeah, you don't want those, to come in and drag it around right away. So
Yeah.
I take it into consideration. So these past 3-4 cars that I've had, I've really tried to find some clean ones. So
Gotcha.
Awesome. Shay, is there anybody, we've talked about the team and how tight that unit is. Is there anybody that you want to make mention of that helped make sure that you get that car out there this weekend?
yeah, I had a lot of help. My brother Tyler and Scott Skippers and Ben Plate. Those guys made sure I was, had everything that I needed to and was bringing the best car that I could out there to Carnage. Just all the GCM guys from around home. Usually we're a pretty tight-knit group, and if somebody needs something, we usually try to help each other out. A few of the guys that my mom has helped quite a bit. My father-in-law with Bridge City Truck Repair, Clint Hoy with Hoy Trucking. But I got to give a big shout-out to my wife, though. I mean, she allows me to have the shop time that I need to, and she actually drove the kids out Saturday morning so they could watch and drove them back. So 9 hours in a vehicle in one day with 3 kids. She's more of a trooper than what I am, I guess.
Man.
That's wow.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that'd be terrific.
What's next?
Oh, I haven't fully decided yet, but
Yeah.
you may see a venture from me out to Utah
Nice.
at the end of July. So
Very nice. I think that'd be cool.
there's some guys from around home that are running the big money class out there, and they have an open spot on a trailer. So I believe I'm going to be coming out to Heber City, Utah, into July. So
Cool.
And then I assume Blizzard Bash probably again in the fall.
Oh, we're still under discussion about Blizzard Bash. We're kind of waiting to see how things go. We're kind of hoping Candace sticks around and wants to help out. So, but yeah, Candace from up where Scott and Kevin live, they're quite a ways from me, but I don't know. I'm thinking about some Domination Motorsports events over the summer too. So
Cool.
just kind of go from there.
That sounds good. Stay in touch. I'll be anxious to hear how everything goes out in Utah.
Will do.
Shay, I appreciate you coming on the show and hanging out with us for a little while. Congratulations on the finish, and congratulations to the team for going 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, thank you.
You bet.
Appreciate you guys having me on.
For sure, man. Anytime. We'll talk to you soon.
Yep.
See you now.
See ya.
There goes Shay Ford. We're going to get Justin Montgomery here momentarily. But before we do that, we're going to talk a little bit about Spinning Wheels Productions. June the 16th is at the Otsego County Fairgrounds in Morris is the Jeffy's Fab Farm Mini Meltdown. We just talked about that compact show. That's the one right there. $4,000 to win, $2,000, $1,000 for the top 3, $1,000 Mad Dog, and the field's full. 105 entries. I'm going to whittle it down. It is going to be phenomenal out there. You can find more information at spinningwheelsproductions.com. They've got one-and-done classes as well if you didn't make that main draw, which is 500 win plus 75% of the entries for economy V8s, limited well V8s, full-size trucks, and compact trucks. All of those cars, hopefully, will still have a little bit left if they're not wore out from the year to come back around for Spinning Wheels Productions annual fall cleanup show, the San Filippo Smash. Always going to be that's always one of our favorite derbies. I can't wait to get back there for that one, and we may even see Brian Tompkins climb in a car for one or both of those events. I assume it's going to be a Camry, right?
Yes, I'm entered for. I'll be there for the show. I got to check out football schedule for San Filippo and see what day we got football that week. Go from there. Cool. I'd love to go down and support Jeremy and his family and their cause. Though, absolutely one of my favorite derby families right there.
All right, so we'll do this quick. All right, I had to fix something. Road Rage Entertainment, June the 2nd, 2018. That's one that we're going to be at as well at the Broome County Fairgrounds in Whitney Point. It's a team derby for the compacts. We talked about how they're growing or populated. This is the dedicated team derby just for the compacts. They've got other team elements as well. Truck teams, there's 2 spots left, and the full size, there's a couple spots left for the V8s. There's also one and dones there for the full size V8s, the junk run and the compacts. Those are each guaranteed $1,000 to win. in each one of the one and dones. RC Derby, the JMW Motorsports, is scheduled for 1 o'clock. The Power Wheels are scheduled for 2 o'clock, and the show is going to follow in succession. There's a kids zone and play area. There's a bunch of teachers from the local community who volunteered to come and help keep an eye on kids with coloring book contests and
you're going to be over there, right?
Bumper drags and stuff. Not with kids. No, I'm going to be behind a microphone. Road Rage Entertainment is hosting this one. They finally got a chance to put a derby out. They're waiting for a chance to find a way to fit into the derby landscape without hurting other promoters or hurting themselves, and I think it was a good move. Absolutely. They've also added a band that's going to be going live sometime around 6 o'clock, which I think is pretty cool. They've added that. So in the post element of the show, they're going to be able to jump out there and enjoy some of the band, which is pretty cool. And so anybody that wants to hang around and talk a little bit of derby, do some bench racing, they've got the opportunity to do so with that. So again, online, facebook.com/Road Rage Enter. If you type in roadrageentertainment.com, it'll bring you to the entry page. You can pay for your entry right online. And again, entries are free for the Power Wheels, and every kid that enters is going to go away with a helmet, bike helmet that'll be theirs for antiquity, which is going to be a pretty cool add-on.
That's like eternity, right?
Yeah.
Just checking.
At least until September 22nd, 2135. I read that there's a 1 in 2,700% chance that we get hit by a meteor that was the size of the Empire State Building, but who's worried?
Would that do much damage?
It would not end humanity, but it would certainly injure a lot of people. I don't know if I saw that story online today. I couldn't help but click on it because we were talking about rocks and all that other stuff. We just finished a space unit in Earth Science, and I got a kick out of it.
So it wouldn't be as bad as the one in Armageddon where they're going to go up and blow it up. And
no, but they did consult Bruce Willis in terms of
do.
fixing it. Yeah, they thought they wanted to have him weigh in.
Maybe Liv Tyler could help too. She's kind of a helper.
Jesus Christ.
Just saying, friend to friend.
Do you know where that came from?
I do.
I'm sure everybody at home is wondering about it too.
Yeah, well, don't worry. We're wondering anymore. It's gone.
Hey, let me put you in.
Gone.
So now, turning our attention to Justin Montgomery and his run in the limited well portion. Again, thank you messages being conveyed from John Muse, from Eric Blom, from Trey Hewer. We talked to all those guys through the course of the weekend that appreciated it. And Justin Montgomery, always one of the most entertaining guys to talk to, coming away with third place overall in that limited weld feature. It was a dogfight out there front to back, and I got to believe that anything with a podium finish after the end of that feature has got to feel like a win in itself.
Yeah, it really does. Like my wife asked afterwards why I didn't seem all excited. I guess it's just you get that close, and it's just like almost had it. But once you sit there and think about it, and the way everything went for us that weekend, it was definitely a win. It was pretty awesome what we were able to accomplish. Especially kind of an underdog car.
I'd kind of agree with that too. With the amount of old iron that was there running in that limited well division, your choice with the 91 Ford product was a little off the beaten path. But at the same time, you've built so many of those, you got to stick with what you know.
Yeah, and we can run the old iron too and everything. It's just everything was for that setup was already pretty much out, ready to go back in. So I thought, well, I can get this done quick. And like I said, the one that I ran last year at Carnage, it held up all right and everything. And I went and ran it in a couple local shows home, around home here, and won them with it. And I thought, well, that car had that much more, so see how this one, will hold up. But like every year, I get back to Carnage and geez, I'm an idiot. Look at all these hard old iron cars. What am I doing? And I just second guess myself.
Then you just got to go out there and not drive them all, right, Chicken?
No, I try to. I don't know. I think a lot of the time I get lucky, but it was a really fun feature. Like Chad and I had talked, we had different battles, different groups and stuff, and it was one of the most fun I've had in a feature for quite a while. Non-team show. So,
well, there were some people.
Go ahead.
There were some people that were dogging that a little bit about the team driving. You had 5 Postal Mopar cars. We had a bunch of the Section 117 cars. There was 4 of them. There was a couple cars from North Dakota, Jeremy Tim, Matt Stenberg, and Dustin Yanni. Those guys were all out there together. You had Adam Klein and Chad Markley out there that theoretically were going to help you. I didn't see anything that would contradict that. At the same time, it wasn't supposed to be a team feature. The pace was slow to start with, like we saw at Blizzard Bash, which was a team feature. And then once a couple haymakers got sent, guys started turning up the wick and pushing the pace. And then after that, it got to be a surgical show where the wagons started to get their frame rails exposed. They started trying to knock out steering. And then you had to go through and survive all that. Was there ever a point where you were questioning whether you were at Capital City Carnage or Blizzard Bash?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of felt the same pace for a while there, because, I mean, it felt really fast-paced, I mean, for a big-money feature like that,
right.
And that's what was pretty awesome about it. I felt that everyone had turned it up enough to, entertain the crowd and then still be able to drive. I forget how far into it, but they're kind of telling everybody to turn it up. I'm like, I'm kind of running out of car to turn it up with. But, and that's what, with them cars, I know once they get so far packed into the back that it can't go too much further. So I was looking up at, the guy that helps out, Jeremiah Faulkner, up in the crowd, and he's kind of telling me, don't use the back. I'm like, well, what am I supposed to use? The front's kind of coming up, so I'm like, the back still felt hard. I didn't have any clue it was that bad a shape.
Right.
Because I'm thinking, well, maybe my wheels are just exposed. But then when I got out, I'm like, holy crap, like, he's probably right.
Yeah, it was.
But
it kind of went straight from the top of your roof right to the rear end. There was nothing else there. Yeah. It was a tore up.
On the topic of that, there's nothing else to use. So did you start thinking maybe you needed to start doing some of those chicken theatrics where you throw the door out there and then fly over to the other side of the car?
No, I mean, I feel embarrassed about doing that sometimes, but, it's kind of like taking a charge in basketball. Like, at that point in that heat, I know what, Teddy didn't mean to hit me in the door, and I know that I pulled it, That's completely understood, but I'm thinking, which I'd probably be embarrassed if he would have got thrown out for a driver's door hit, because after it all happened, I wouldn't have felt right. But it's just that was at the time maybe one chance to get one of them guys out to where I can make it to the feature without having to go to the con seat. But, I don't know, just in the heat of the moment, I don't know why I do that. It's kind of a habit.
Chicken, do you ever get mad when you're in a derby car?
Yeah, sometimes, but I've learned that it doesn't help me at all out there. The more you can stay calm, and, I guess I've learned from watching people that I've, grown up watching, that it's better to sit there, take a little bit, and then go try to rip that guy's wheel off after you cool down a little bit than just going right back after him, mad. So, and it seems to, by that time, you don't lose your head and you can just stay calm. And I think that's, 90% of being able to drive out there is staying calm and just keeping your head the whole time.
Absolutely.
After the Ski Inc., when we went against them in Blizzard Bash that first round, when radio support got cleared and everything, like everyone said, that arena just makes you just, drive, just amps you up and everything.
Sure.
And I sat there after that heat, and I told myself, I'm not driving out there. I'm getting too worked up, and I'm not thinking like I normally did. So then after that heat, I changed my whole aspect of how I go out there in that arena. Before I pull in there, every time I sit there and just think, okay, I still need to think, and drive like I know I can, just like the county fair shows or wherever. I need to just calm down and take this big show with that same mindset, and it seems to be helping out quite a bit.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
building from that, there was a couple points in the Derby where you were in some trouble. You were close on the shot clock, and we've asked this of our prior two guests as well. You're talking about how you go out there and the arena automatically makes you drive harder and kind of forget your strategy. Does time when you're on the shot clock speed up? Does it slow down? Or the time when you're out there in the course of that Derby as long or as short as that Derby might have been? What did it feel like to you? Does it feel like time speeds up? Does it feel like it slows down?
Well, I mean, it kind of sounds weird, but like once you're in, like if I'm in my game, it's like almost like the Matrix where, I mean, it's not really like that, but everything slows down if I'm in my right mindset to where, you know, you're just kind of slowing down time to think about, you know, every shot, trying to get your doors pulled, someone coming for you, you know, checking behind you, just stopping to think about everything before you, you know, screw up or take a shot on a car that you might get hung up on that's dead, or just anything, you know. That's kind of how you have to go about it, I guess.
It's interesting.
Yeah. You know, I've heard guys say that before, is like when not just in Derbian, but like racing, motorsports, you know, some football players, they say that like the sport almost slows down for you. And like you can kind of see the way things are going to go and kind of know what to expect. And, you know, it's really cool because I've heard other guys say that. You know, we just heard Chicken describe that. And it's really cool. I mean, I unfortunately, you know, I am not to that stage and probably never will be. But it's definitely cool because, you watch the guys, you know, like these guys when they're out there, and it's, you know, you can see that, all right, they're planning stuff, and it's just not okay, I'm going to, hopefully I can make this shot. I mean, you can see that guys are thinking stuff out and, you know, taking good shots to try to disable cars, and it's really cool to watch. I mean, in like, you know, Chicken touchdown, I mean, Blizzard Bash, it's usually pretty fast paced, but still, even at that fast pace, guys are, you know, the good drivers are trying to make the shots that are, you know, they're not trying to drive somebody in the door where there's 1,000 pounds of steel. They're trying to get to a rear end, or trying to get to a tie rod, or trying to get to a steering box or something. So it's really cool to hear him describe that, because I've heard people say it before, and it's definitely you know, kind of a theme for some of the faster paced sports.
I can't imagine what it's like to pull out onto that track.
No,
you know, and to hear Justin say, you sort of lose your place in time when you pull out there, and all of a sudden the eyes just roll back. We've seen it happen 1,000. I mean, remember the first time, I think it was Robbie Layton pulled out there, and he was just going berserk inside the car. I mean, that's how every driver's got to feel pulling out there, at least in their gut, you know.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You know? Chicken, how many years you been running total?
Ran first Derby right out of high school, 2001. So
16 years, 17 years,
whatever that'd be. 17
years.
Somewhere around there.
Man, you're a youngster, Chicken. Graduated in 2001. Holy cow. That's crazy.
My wife tells me I'm pretty old, but
I will tell you what year I graduated. Thanks. I'll be ancient. You'll be thinking you got to come see me in the old folks' home.
I mean, just in that time frame, think about how far Demolition Derby's come.
Oh goodness. Chicken, what style build do you like? I mean, you know, we've seen you obviously with Team Kansas as one of the, you know, some of the heaviest building out there, and then we saw you, you know, run the limited weld and obviously have success with that too. What type of build do you prefer?
Well, I mean, I honestly like, you know, the where stuff bends a little more, and you kind of have to drive. I like driving with the back. You know, that's when we started out, that's, you know, what it was. You drive with the back and the heat, and you drive with the back and the feature until that goes away. Then you use the front to try to poke for the wind. And now some of these shows are coming back around to that. I still think the limited weld rules are still too hard, you know, that where you can drive with the back and bend anyone's front or anything. But I've gotten to like the Blizzard Bash rules, you know. We've caught up, obviously, on, you know, the builds and everything there, and they're fun to run too. But I guess, you know, I would rather go somewhere where it relies more on the driving rather than how hard the car is, I guess, would be my answer.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
But I mean, it is pretty awesome because, like, all our racing buddies and everything, we'll tell them, you know, to come check out this show, and their minds will be blown, you know, about the horsepower, the parts, everything. So it's pretty cool to have that side of it just open up everyone's eyes.
Yep.
And that's really helped the sport bring other people into it.
Yep.
And, you know, I guess I like them both. It's just some sometimes you get burnt out building them Blizzard Bash cars just because of so many hours and welding and just, but that's what you got to do to play.
Yipper.
It's true. I mean, that is exactly what it takes. And you guys are in that area where you could run a Blizzard Bash car for a chunk of the summer after it looks like it's used up at Blizzard Bash.
Well, I mean, not quite around our area. Around my area, we're more like the limited weld style rules. More eastern Kansas, down around Topeka, they used to have quite a bit of shows where you could do that, but there's a lot of them that are going away just because there's not enough cars, modified cars around to run. So everything's kind of going back a little bit to the limited weld. There are some shows that are going ahead and allowing a little more, but not extreme as like the Blizzard Bash rules.
Right.
How many shows you usually run here, Chicken?
Well, lately we've just been running, like last year I just ran Carnage, and then I ran Oakley, Kansas. Their fair board out there really stepped up, and they dumped a whole bunch of money in their payout out there. So I ran that show, and then I ran Blizzard Bash. Then we're all, I guess, fresh builds. In between there, I ran, there's Beloit that I ran the Capital Carnage car at, and then we stopped at Hayes on the way home. So I only built 3 cars last year. I'm kind of going to run the same schedule this year. That Oakley show out there is going to be a tough one. Just the rumors of who all's showing up, it'll be like a miniature, Blizzard Bash show there with all the best around the Midwest. So
it'll be fun.
Kind of looking forward to that. It'll be a pretty tough show.
Cool.
But
we'll make sure you keep in touch as all those play out. We'll most likely see, if not before, we'll catch up with you when we get back out to Topeka for Blizzard Bash. Before we let you go, is there anybody that you wanted to make mention of that helped get the car out there and made sure that you were a part of Capital City Carnage?
yeah, definitely. I need to thank Jeremiah Faulkner. He's dumped a ton of money and thought. He's hauled me there now. He built that semi with the rack on it, and we wouldn't have been in that feature if it wouldn't have been for him and all the help we had. That whole frame rail was shoved clear back in, you know, after the heat, and we got her back out and held. And then, the Klein boys, Jim Klein, he runs a tire store in Delphus, and he helps me out. I usually end up borrowing their tires because my tire setups seem to, you know, not work like I think they should. My front tires weren't working like I thought they should. They're too wide and kept hitting the ball joint, so I had to borrow some of Adam's tires for the feature. Tom Gage built our back tires for us. He stayed up like the night before or something, and then he brought them down to us to run for the feature. So I have to thank him. I wouldn't have finished, near as far without, the work he put into building them. Then my mom, she got the camper and everything to take up mainly to derbies. Then I have to thank my wife and her family. They're very supportive, and she gets a little mad when I'm out there in the shop too much, but I think she understands. Trying to think if I'm forgetting anybody. All the Abilene guys help out in the pits and everyone else. So I think I got everybody.
Very cool.
Well, man, we appreciate you coming on and hanging out with us for a little while. And again, congratulations on the finish. It wasn't an easy one.
Yeah, thank you guys, and thank you guys for helping. You guys help push that show better and better too. So
thank you. Appreciate that.
We certainly do try. Thank you.
All right.
Thanks.
To you guys later.
Thanks for sure, Justin. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Bye.
There goes Justin Montgomery.
Truly one of the good guys in Derby.
Yeah.
Such a nice dude to talk to. 2001, he graduates high school? What a youngster.
Yep.
Oh, man.
Certainly makes me feel good.
Oh, yeah. Great.
So, again, just to recap, first place in the limited weld class, we've got Eric Blom. Second place tie was Justin Montgomery and Trey Hewer. Compacts, first place, Scott Mulder, again, over Kevin Ullman, third place, Shay Ford. And in the modified class, it was Corey Ludington over Brad Tice and Torrey Hyde. Now, we've also got the two-man extreme classes, which I've got to bring those up because it wasn't Casey and Corey Caranda. splitting the second one. That was the one that Josh and those guys were second place last year, and the first one that was on track was the team, the two Hansons in the car. So they congratulations to those guys as well. I realized that I had forgotten them up to this point. Wanted to make sure that we hit all of our winners. We're going to have some more conversation about Utah next week. I think we're going to be seeing Jeremy Gully in for an update on spinning wheels in the coming weeks. Probably, maybe not next week, but in the coming weeks. Same thing with Jake Sherman. Some more information there. And next week, I also anticipate some conversation about what's happening down in Virginia, because by then it'll only be a month away.
There's guys that really got to start welding.
They got to start welding so they can get in for the stock rules.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely.
All joking aside, those guys are a ton of fun to go down and work with. I love going down there. That is a ton of fun. Again, I think we are in a very good place as a whole for Demolition Derby and for Crash Course. It was awesome working with those guys from Derby Nation again. Mark Klein and the Derby Tees crew, they've got the next pay-per-view coming up, and that is going to be, if you can believe it, this weekend already. They didn't even go home. They went right to Hot Springs. Hot Springs is going to be Friday night, the 23rd. That's a 6:30 Central start time. And then Saturday night is a 5:30 Central start time. It's at the Garland County Fairgrounds. Hot Springs Havoc. It's going to be another gem of a show. You can jump online. DerbyNation.tv's got all the links for it there. And then after that, Urban Destruction is the first weekend of April. So they're going to be out there for that one before we get into Spring Explosion. And on down the line, leading up to Bash for Cash, we're going to be out there to partake in that show. I mean,
can we make that announcement yet?
Derby is year-round. I mean, it never stops. It's the plan anyway, is that we're going to be going out there to collaborate on that project. It's something that we're looking forward to. I think once we get all the I's dotted and everything, we're going to have some folks from Derby Tees on to talk a little bit about how that came about. And I don't think we're going to get anybody from the production side. I don't know if Chris Grander's going to make a phone call, but who knows? Maybe we can talk him into it.
I doubt it.
Heck, he lives in California. We might better get him to fly out, right?
Yeah.
He's got to go introduce all the people in Weedsport, right?
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
What
do you think, Chris Marquardt?
That is some stuff that's coming down the line. So stay tuned. That's where things are headed. Episode number 221. I think it's safe to say that it's in the books. Awesome job. Congratulations to everybody that was out there and took part in Capital City Carnage. Finished well. And if you didn't have some good luck, make sure you rebound and come back around. There's plenty of shows close to you that are coming up that'll give you a shot to try it again. And if not, there's always Blizzard Bash to come back and give you another opportunity to make a name for yourself. I love the fact there were so many people we didn't know. Mm-hmm. So many new names that were entered. That was fantastic. And the show sold out quick. So it's good. I think we're in a good place. Appreciate it, everybody who tuned in to listen. That's going to do it for this edition of the Crash Course Demolition Derby Podcast 221. We're all done here at the North Park Building at Academy Square at Finger Lakes 1 headquarters. We'll see everybody next time.
The Crash Course Live is presented by Smash It Demolition Derby, who host Bash for Cash, Blizzard Bash, and Capital City Carnage. Online at smashitderby.com. And Stirring Dirt Racing, hosts of Maymania's team show at the Golden Spike Arena in Ogden, Utah. Online at stirringdirtracing.com. Reckless Abandon Derby Apparel, and Derby Inc. Magazine. This is the Crash Course Demolition Derby Podcast, recorded live at the FingerLakes1.com studios in downtown Seneca Falls, New York.